It's almost Christmas time at the White House, and it looks like this year's holiday party is gonna be hella awkward.
Yet another White House shakeup, this one perplexing even those in the president's own inner circle. President Trump caught many off guard this weekend when he announced his chief of staff, John Kelly, will be out by the end of the year.
John Kelly will be leaving, but I don't know if I can say retiring, but he's a great guy. John Kelly will be leaving at the end of the year.
No, not John Kelly. He was just about to get Trump to act presidential. He just needed one more week. So close. And look, I think it's fair to say that being Trump's chief of staff did not work out well for John Kelly, right? Because remember, he came into the job known as a respected four-star general, and now he's leaving the job known as the guy who fired Omarosa. Like, that's a downgrade. That's actually the saddest thing about John Kelly. It seems like his whole job was just telling other staffers that Trump was firing them. Because he had to fire Omarosa, right? He fired Scaramucci. He fired Steve Bannon. He fired Rex Tillerson. He fired Jeff Sessions. I wouldn't be shocked if Trump made him fire himself. Yeah, he was just there like, the president has requested your resignation. What? After all I've done? Please, try to leave with some dignity. Go to hell, you son of a bitch. Don't talk about our mom like that. So now, Trump needs a new chief of staff, which is arguably the most important job in the White House. They advise the president. They control access to the president. They get the president out of the tanning bed before he burns. So they need to find a strong candidate. The problem is, right now, they can't find anyone.
The president's top advisors expected Mike Pence's chief of staff, Nick Ayers, to replace Kelly. But over the weekend, Ayers took himself out of the running.
Nick Ayers made clear to the president he had plans to move his young family back home to Georgia.
God damn. That's how bad this job is. President Trump offered it to some guy, and he responds by quitting the job he already has and fleeing to another state. Yeah, no, I'm going to somewhere else, yeah. And it turns out there are a lot of people who feel the same way.
Another potential contender for White House Chief of Staff rushing to take his name off the list. This time, North Carolina Republican Congressman Mark Meadows says, quote, absolutely not.
Another candidate, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, who has told colleagues he is happy in his present job. OMB Director Mick Mulvaney, the AP is reporting today that he does not want the job. And then U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer, who's told CBS he's entirely focused on his present job. So it looks like a lot of the candidates they're looking at don't want the job.
This is so depressing. But at the same time, of course, nobody wants this job, right? We all know by now what happens if you work for Trump. At some point, you're going to lose your credibility, and then you spend every day being insulted by a 72-year-old, 5-year-old. Who would want that? So many Americans don't want this job. Trump might have to let a Mexican do it. You realize that, right? Like, he's going to pull up to Home Depot in a truck and be like, I need uno el chief of staffo. And one of the guys there's gonna be like, no, señor, deportación, por favor, deportación. It's better to leave. For more on the White House's search for a chief of staff, we turn to a man who regularly clears his search history, Michael Costa, everybody. Nice to have you back, Trevor. Michael, this is not a good look for the White House if they can't find anybody to fill the most important job.
Well, actually, Trevor, I think it's a branding problem. Chief of Staff sounds so boring and office-y. You know, they should rename the job to sound more exciting, like race car driver or Marvel's the Black Panther. Then they'll see those resumes pour in.
Well, I don't know how that would work, but right now, nobody wants the job.
You know what? F it, I'll do it. I mean, I'll do it.
You?
Yeah.
What makes you think you're qualified to be President Trump's chief of staff?
Well, why not? I got all the qualifications he cares about. I'm white, I'm male, I'm straight, I can poop standing up. I'm the whole package.
Why would Trump care about how you poop, dude?
I'm just saying, if he does, I've got that covered.
Okay, but Michael, you understand the job itself is incredibly complex and demanding.
How hard could it be, Trevor? You've seen the last 2 years. Most of that job is just saying, Mr. President, I wouldn't do whatever you want. Yeah. All you got to do is make sure Trump doesn't stick his finger in a socket. It's pretty much daycare, and most of the kids I babysat didn't die.
But Michael, even if you get the job, it's not going to end well. Look at how Trump treats John Kelly. He was insulting Rex Tillerson. He humiliates people.
Oh, okay. And this job isn't humiliating? Every time I come out here, you have me holding a chart of a penis or a butthole. You know that I don't even tell my family I work here? They think I'm an intern for ISIS.
Look, you know what, Michael? Shit on this job all you want. The fact is, you will never, ever be chief of staff. It's as simple as that.
Oh, really? Is that what you think? Well, guess what, buddy? I'm going down to Washington, and I'm going to apply right now.
You're wasting your time, Michael. You're a loser. You always will be.
What? You just wait, okay? The next time you hear from me, I'm going to be the new chief of staff. So, yeah, you hear that? So long, suckers.
Michael Costa, everybody. Like, I'm not... No, look, the thing is, I'm not trying to be mean, but chief of staff, he will never, ever be... Sorry, what's that? When? Now? Oh, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting some breaking news. Michael Costa, former Daily Show correspondent, has just been hit by a bus walking to Washington, D.C. He was 39 years old.